Georgia Dome, the home of the Atlanta Falcons, as they get set to take on the New York Jets. Jeff George and his run-and-shoot offense coming off an overtime win in New Orleans to push their record to 2-1. While Boomer Esiason and the Jets hoping to build on their win over expansionist Jacksonville to even up their season record at 2 up and 2 down. Hi, everybody. Marv Albin along with Chris Collinsworth and Chris for the Jets over the first 3 games of the season. It's tough to figure just where they stand. Opening day in Miami, they're blown out by the Dolphins. They blow a lead, lose to the Colts in overtime in game 2. Then last week, they convincingly knock off the new Jacksonville Jaguars. So where is this team? We asked that of Boomer Esiason.
I don't think too many people really know who we are yet, including ourselves. I mean, although I think that we are pretty good, a team like Atlanta probably thinks that we're pretty mediocre. As a matter of fact, that's what I've read this week. So until myself and the Wayne Corbett's of the world make a statement by beating a team like Atlanta in their home dome, then we'll start getting some respect. But until then, I guess we should be looked at as the team that nobody really knows too much about.
I really think Rich Kotite is trying to transform this Jet team from a finesse team into more power football. They're using a lot of the 2 tight ends. Brad Baxter now in the backfield, more of a power back, and all that means absolutely nothing today because they're going to be facing one of the worst secondaries in the history of the National Football League in the Atlanta Falcons. So Boomer's going to throw it all over the yard.
In the history of the NFL, I know that Falcons secondary will be so proud that they have received that particular niche. What about the run-and-shoot offense of the Atlanta Falcons, which features 2 of the top receivers in the National Football League, and Eric Metcalf and Terrence Mathis?
Yeah, Terrence Mathis, a guy that the Jets had and let go, and all Terrence Mathis did a year ago was catch 111 passes, and you could be assured that Boomer Esiason would love to have him back. But right now, the star of this run-and-shoot offense is Eric Metcalf. He leads the National Football League already with 30 catches, on pace to catch 160 on the year. Just so exciting when he gets his hands on some of those short passes.
And there's 42-year-old June Jones, a man who spent part of 4 seasons as the Falcons' backup quarterback, now the head man in Atlanta for the 2nd year. He is the guru of the run and shoot. And head coach Rich Kotite in his 5th year as an NFL head coach, spent the past 4 as head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Rich Kotite's Jets have won the toss and will receive Morton Anderson, one of the heroes in the overtime victory over New Orleans last week. Will kick it off. And a good one. He will stay right there. Dexter Carter will not run it out, so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. And a look at the Jets offensively. Matt Willig, who will have his hands full with Chris Dolman, who comes in leading the NFL in sacks. The one change at right tackle, James Brown for Siafeli Malamala, who is bothered by a sprained knee. Baxter and Moore, the running backs, Wilson, Corbett, and Brady are the receivers. And Fred Baxter had a good one last week with 6 catches against Jacksonville, comes on as the 2nd tight end. And Esiason throwing on 1st down. He has Corbett. Wayne Corbett, the rookie from Hofstra, picks up 13 on the play, run out by the right corner, Terry Taylor.
One of those crossing routes that Boomer Esiason was telling us about yesterday. Already the Atlanta Falcons coming out and challenging these Jet receivers. They think they can play one-on-one against these receivers. That time, though, Terry Taylor, no chance, and Boomer is going to take a shot at the end of this one. Pretty good pass rushers from the Falcons.
Wayne Corbett, who had 7 catches last week, comes up with catch number 13 on the season. Picking his way, Brad Baxter breaking tackles as he gets across the 40-yard line. The Atlanta Falcons defensively with Chuck Smith, Pierce Holt, Mo Gardner, and Chris Dolman up front. The linebackers, a veteran core, 39-year-old Clay Matthews, Darryl Talley at 35 years of age, Jesse Tuggle, the youngster, at 30 years old, and there is, as Chris put it, The worst secondary in the history of the NFL. Is that?
Are you going to mail those guys a postcard and try and help me with that one?
They may hear about it. I have a feeling. Second and about a half yard. And again, it's Baxter. Big hole for Brad Baxter, and he has the first down and some more. 12 for Baxter, who last week ran for 64 yards.
But the Falcons do have good tacklers in the secondary, and they're needed so far because the front seven hasn't even gotten in anybody's way. Brad Baxter just plowing into Roger Harper there. And so the woes continue for this Atlanta defense that has been terrible on the opening drives of the games. Opponents have scored every single opening drive this year.
Jets 3 plays have gone 13, 9, and 12. Certainly the kind of offense that Rich Kotite wants to continue to run. Off the handoff, Baxter on a slant, stopped by the right defensive tackle, Pierce Holt.
And Marv, one thing about Atlanta's defense, talked about their failure on opening drives. The 3 quarterbacks that they have faced, Frank Reich, Steve Young, and Jim Everett, are a combined 13 for 13, 219 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the 3 opening drives so far this season. There's Joe Herring, the defensive coordinator, who needs to see that trend reversed.
It is a 2nd and 7. Esiason again able to connect with Crabette right at the marker. Took the hit from the left corner, Ron Davis. Ron Davis bothered by a bruised right knee. Heard it in practice this past Wednesday. Falcons have made some changes in the secondary. The starter, DJ Johnson, one of the starters at corner, is out with a strained hamstring, so Terry Taylor shifting to right corner, and Davis now on the left side. That was just shy of a first down. It's a 3rd and less than a yard. Morrell and Anderson, the running backs, and Esiason on a keeper picks up the first down.
Boomer with a little roll to pick up the final yard. It didn't look like he was going to get it initially, and all of a sudden did a little flip spin and picked up the yard.
Last 2 weeks, Boomer Esiason has played well following the opening day fiasco that the Jets went through in Miami.
Yeah, it was, and you could tell that Boomer was still embarrassed about it. We called that game, and he was apologizing to us even yesterday for the way they played against the Dolphins.
And a first down at the 35-yard line. Play fake, and Esiason picked off. Kevin Ross, the strong safety, on the interception. So Kevin Ross, who is a New Jersey native, a very solid defensive back in his 10 years with Kansas City, signed with Atlanta as a free agent last year in his 12th year out of Temple. And on the interception, Atlanta will take.
Consequently, the ball hung in the air for Kevin Ross, and really, if Ross didn't make the play, it looked like Roger Harper would have. Took Kevin a while to catch that football, but he did it, and that's the best that the Falcons have done this entire season.
So Boomer Esiason intercepted. Ross ran it back 19 yards. Jeff George and the Falcons from their 26. And the run and shoot going with the 4 wideouts. And on the draw, it's Iron Hayward, who had a superb game last week against New Orleans with 102 yards on the ground. A guy who has dropped his weight. They love his attitude. He's been playing very well. As you look at the offensive linemen of the Atlanta Falcons, Whitfield, Tobeck, Thornton, Williams, and Richards. They made changes on the right side. Gene Williams starting for the injured Mike Sendowski. Richards passing by the disappointing Lincoln Kennedy. Haywood is the lone deep back, and you saw the receivers, Burden, Mathis, Metcalf, and Emmanuel. Second down and 6. George couldn't find anyone, and now does, and has a first down. Emmanuel bumped out of bounds at the 26, caught by the corner, Otis Smith. He goes for 43 yards. Bert Emmanuel second-year man, out of Rice.
Bert Emanuel had a breakout game last week against the Saints. 6 catches for 104 yards. He's probably the fastest of all these Falcon wide receivers, and once he gets in the open field, there is no chance Mo Lewis is going to track this guy down. That is the danger of this run-and-shoot offense. They just try to get him the football, and there they go down the field. Such tremendous athletes on the outside. 38 yards after he caught the football that time.
And a first down for Atlanta at the Jet 26-yard line. Hayward, for the most part, with Ironhead Hayward, we will see draw plays, which was so effective last week against the Saints. All right, a look at the Jets defensively up front. Washington, Brock Howard, and Evans. We'll see quite a bit of the rookie Hugh Douglas coming off the 3-sack performance. Lewis and Marshall, the linebackers, the Jets opening in the nickel as they go with the extra defensive backs against this run-and-shoot offense. A 2nd and 8 at the 24-yard line with 5:40 gone by in the first quarter. Short set by George, and again everyone well covered. And he goes short range. It is ruled caught inbounds by Emanuel. Bert Emanuel has 46 catches in his rookie year last season. That was 2nd in the league. The only man who caught more balls among rookies was Derek Alexander. 2nd in terms of a rookie receiver. Derek Alexander of Cleveland was number 1 in that department.
You know, Jeff George really likes to throw the ball to Bert Emanuel because he was a former quarterback, and he knows where the holes in the defense are. He is the best that they have at reading defenses, making adjustments, finding that open area in the zone.
It's a 3rd and 3. And George's pass was tipped. The Jets will look to do that right throughout the day. Mo Lewis got a piece of it again. It was intended for Emanuel, and in a 4th and 3, the field goal kicking unit checks in. Morton Anderson, one of the greats in that department in NFL history, gunning for either a 36, 37-yard field goal. He was named the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week for the 4-for-4 performance last week against the Saints. High snap was handled by Straczynski. And Anderson's kick is good. 37-yard field goal. Atlanta with a 3-0 lead. They have not exactly elbowed their way into the Georgia Dome. Capacity here better than 71,000. Looks to be in the area of 55. And this is off an impressive overtime win on the road.
Yeah, 55 may be generous. I was wondering where you came up with 55.
I am a generous.
No question.
First points the Jets have allowed in the first quarter this year. That field goal by Anderson, who pops this one out of the end zone again. Dexter Carter is not able to return.
2 of the best kickers in the game here today, Nick Lowry and Morton Anderson. And really, I always thought these were 2 of the best ever until, Marv, I had a chance to watch you on David Letterman this past week. And it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Can you kick a football?
I got a 30-second clinical bit from Nick Lowry. He asked me before, have I stretched yet today?
Yeah, have you?
Yes, I did.
No, you haven't stretched in the 90s. Come on.
Here we go. All right. It was a bad spot, Chris. I want to report that as Baxter is able to break a tackle and then is hit down at the 21-yard line. Combination of Tuggle.
Can we see that one more time, though? Just
we have to.
Well, you know, because sometimes you have to be careful. I like the hands on the hip. First of all, that's very strong. But on a kick like that, you can pull an ego in no time. And for you, that could be a career ender. I know.
I was gunning for an onside.
Well, mission accomplished with that one, or an offside.
Most of the better kickers around the NFL do start hands on hips. You may not have picked that up. Yeah. Baxter. Brad Baxter, short of the first down, stopped by the combination of Jesse Tuggle and Chris Dolman. So Baxter has carried 5 times for 32 yards.
And I like the change. I like what they're doing with the Jets right now, putting in those bigger tight ends and the bigger back, playing a little more power football and trying to establish a running game. Their running game has been non-existent in the first 3 games.
3rd down and 3. That's Quebec in motion. And Esiason throwing, intended for Charles Wilson. And Wilson well covered. So the punting team will come on.
The old guy looked like Clay Matthews, got a little pressure on Boomer Esiason coming around the top side. So many great years with the Cleveland Browns. And it was interesting talking with Darryl Talley about the age of the linebackers. He said that, yes, they do have wheelchairs to take us into our linebacker meetings. So these guys are they're up there. They're veteran linebackers. We'll leave it at that.
The always dangerous Eric Metcalf awaiting the punt from Brian Hansen. Last season, Metcalf made it to the Pro Bowl as a return specialist. May have been a delay of game. So the Jets taking too much time.
Marv, I was there in Cleveland when Eric Metcalf returned those 2 punts for over 75 yards. The only guy in the National Football League's history ever to accomplish that. It was among the most exciting football I'd ever seen in my life.
That is an amazing statistic.
Really is.
So Hansen is back at his 7th. Halfway through this first quarter, 3-0 Atlanta. Metcalf muffed it and was able to recover. 40-yard punt by Hansen. Collinsworth, 3-0. The Falcons in front of the Jets. Atlanta starting out at the 39-yard line. And the lone deep back is Ironhead Hayward. And George on the quick release to the spinning J.J. Burton. And has a first down. Marcus Turner made the stop. That's good for 12. Well, the Jets have been a very good first quarter ball club over the first 3 games. Not the case for the Falcons, although they finally did get on the board in the first quarter on the 37-yarder by Anderson.
Yeah, that was a big opening interception by Kevin Ross to stop the bleeding for this defensive team of June Jones.
And Atlanta first down at midfield. Hayward stopped by the right defensive end, Donald Evans. Set for an update. Let's check in with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Marvin, let's take you to Cincinnati. Chris Chandler didn't play for Houston last week with a bruised shoulder, throwing just fine today. This is 58 yards to the rookie Chris Sanders with the extra point. The Oilers on top of the Bengals, 7-0 in the first quarter. Back to Atlanta, Marvin, Chris.
5:45 remaining in the first quarter. 3-0 Falcons. Second down and 7. And it's intercepted. Picked off by Otis Smith, who ripped it out of the hands of J.J. Burton. What a play by Smith for his 4th interception of the season.
Boy, that is some play. They told us yesterday, the Falcons did, that J.J. Burton was going to be their featured guy. But Otis Smith, after getting killed in the opening game of the season against Irving Fryer, has been making plays like this. This is just a strip, just a takeaway on the part of Otis Smith. Sensational play for the Jets.
5th time that Jeff George has been intercepted this season. Otis Smith, who had a very strong game last week, coming up with another interception. First down for the Jets at their 47-yard line. Esiason looking left and right, couldn't find anyone. Now he does. The tight end, Fred Baxter, right at the marker, met by the free safety, Roger Harper. Fred Baxter saw quite a bit of action last week in the absence of the injured Johnny Mitchell. Last week against the Jaguars, equaled a career high with 6 catches. Fred Baxter getting some playing time. 5th round pick in '93. He's been bothered by a series of injuries and now seeing the time.
Yeah, Marv, I really think that Johnny Mitchell's days in a Jet uniform are numbered. They've got the big Kyle Brady, Fred Baxter coming in there, more of a power style of offense. That seems to me the way that Rich Kotite wants to go.
Well, it appears as we see Esiason gunning long range and intercepted. Terry Taylor was right on it. In fact, it looked like Boomer was throwing to Taylor, who was behind the intended receiver, Charles Wilson.
That's a terrible decision by Boomer Esiason, and Rich Kotite trying to tell him to shake it off, but that's just terrible. Tried to do the pump fake, and then the play obviously not there. Terry Taylor at least 4 yards behind his receiver, and it just doesn't make any sense at all, that throw.
It looked like Taylor was the intended receiver. So the Falcons take over. Penalty flags are thrown. George in trouble and just looked to get it away.
Clever play there by Jeff George, though, coming out with the hard count on the 1 yard line. You really have nothing to lose, even if your guys jump off sides, go in motion, you only move you back an inch, but they managed to get the Jets offside and a little breathing room.
Offsides, defense, 5 yard penalty, still first down.
Referee Gary Lane with the first penalty call of the day. 4:37 remaining in this first quarter. Atlanta with a 3-0 lead on the Jets, and a 1st and 5 for the Falcons at the 6 yard line. In this first quarter, we have already seen 3 interceptions, 2 by Esiason, 1 by George. Hayward has a first down. Marvin Washington, who's played well at the start of the season, made the stop. Washington off to the good start. 2 sacks, couple of forced fumbles, some batted passes.
And for the Atlanta Falcons, they've come in with a tight end now, something very unusual for the run and shoot. They used it last week against the Saints, and they think they can run the football against this Jet defense. They rushed it 31 times last week against the Saints. That's the most attempts they've had in their past 20 games.
Tight end Mitch Lyons in there. Harper LaBelle is the backup tight end, and he is the deep snapper. First down for the Falcons. And again, the inside handoff this time. Hayward is gang tackled. Greg Hayward is a product of Passaic, New Jersey. Last Sunday, 25 carries, the most he has carried the ball since 1990, and he turned in only the 3rd 100-yard game of his career. I mentioned earlier the weight problem. Well, he spent time this past off-season at a special weight control program at Duke University, and he really got it down. He's about 260 pounds right now.
And more than that, he got his life in order. Not only food, a bit of an addiction, but alcohol as well, and happy to see him turning himself around.
Second down play, and George with the bomb intended for Mathis, who drew triple coverage. Terrence Mathis, the former Jet, set a team record for the Falcons last season with 111 receptions. Only the 8th player in the NFL ever to record more than 100 catches in one season. Was used sporadically in his days with the Jets. You can see the numbers in his 4 seasons with New York, 93 catches, and a year and change with the Falcons. He has really emerged in this particular offense. Chris, is that a case of a Jet mistake, or as we watch George scramble for his life and then almost intercepted by Smith once again? It was intended for Mathis. Is Mathis simply a player in the right system, perfectly suited to this particular offense?
Yeah, I think that he's not really that fast, about a 4.6 guy, so I don't look at it as being a huge mistake by the Jets. He just found the right system, and Otis Smith almost came up with another interception. I think the Kangaroo Court is going to be going after Otis. Last week he had to pay $20 into the Kangaroo Court fund for a dropped interception. I would say that will probably be doubled after today.
All right, Dan Straczynski with the punt. Dexter Carter is back. And a good one by Straczynski. Here's Carter, a native of Georgia, looking for the running room. And gets up near midfield. 47-yard punt and a 9-yard return. Well, tonight on NBC tonight, the Jets from their 49-yard line. A shaky start for Boomer Esiason, who's been intercepted twice goes the middle and has the tight end, Baxter, Fred Baxter, some 4 yards short of a first down. Darryl Talley on the tackle.
You know, you just have to be happy for a guy like Fred Baxter. He's a special team star. He's always the first one at the practice complex, always studying extra film, really works at his craft. Never got much of a chance, was always considered sort of a blocking guy. Then last week with the 6 catches, and I just think he's going to be tough to get out of the lineup now. 2nd down and 4. The draw for Adrian Morrell, who got to the outside and has a first down. Terry Taylor ran him out, and Morrell goes for 21 yards. Adrian Morrell, if he can give him that sort of a lift in the running game, he is invaluable. Because what Adrian Morrell does for this offense is it keeps the keeps the Falcons out of man-to-man coverage. He's too quick for the older linebackers for the Atlanta Falcons. So if they can keep him on the field and his running game is that good, then he could really be a factor in this ballgame. Jets from the 24-yard line. Once again, it started as a draw, and Morrell was rocked. He tried to get outside. Looked to be the same play. Darryl Talley certainly enjoyed that stop. Also had some words following the hit. And a smirk. Words and a smirk out of Darryl Talley, who came over from Buffalo. They basically thought he was washed up in Buffalo and never really offered him a contract, allowed him to get out of there. And he was a little bit upset about it. We talked to him. He wasn't too happy, but he wanted the Buffalo Bills fans to know how he felt about them. Took out a full-page ad in the newspaper just to thank the fans of Buffalo. 2nd down and 9. And Esiason's pass caught again by the tight end Fred Baxter, but short of the first down. Again, it's Talley on the stop. Esiason's been playing well over the past couple of weeks. Terrible start for him here this afternoon. But you see against the Miami Dolphins in that first game, it was a disaster. But the last 2 weeks, played very well. Wayne Corbett with a huge drop for him against Indianapolis, or else they really would have won both those games. It's a 3rd and 5 at the 19. And a timeout is being called by the Jets with 32 seconds to go in this first quarter. So Boomer over to the sideline and talk with head coach Rich Kotite. Reminder, next Sunday, right here on NBC, another NFL doubleheader starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time with the NFL on NBC. And then featured on the doubleheader lineup, father versus son. How'd you like to be in the Shula household next week? Don going against David, undefeated Miami versus Cincinnati. That is next Sunday. Others will see Bill Parcells' Patriots after the bye week. And the word on Drew Bledsoe being available is up in the air. They will be here in Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Late games, most of you will see the Chargers at Pittsburgh, or the Oilers hosting the Jaguars. It's a 3rd and 5 at the 19. First quarter rolling down 3-0. Atlanta leading the Jets. And Esiason's pass was almost intercepted. Kevin Ross would have had a second of the quarter and number 3 for Atlanta. And would have been 6 points for Atlanta as well. Boomer throwing behind his receiver once again, and this has been a struggle for Boomer Esiason out here this afternoon. Decent protection, got a little push right in his face, but very fortunate that that one didn't go for 6 points the other way. Well, earlier Morton Anderson hit from 37 yards away, and now Nick Lowry will attempt from 37. So the Jets have tied the game at 3. It's been a battle of 2 of the best field goal kickers in the history of the league. Nick Lowry and Morton Anderson accounting for the points. We've had a total of 3 interceptions, nearly a 4th just a moment ago. Esiason picked off twice, George once,
and 23 seconds remaining in the quarter.
Did Nick have anything to say to you after that field goal attempt the other night?
He was very encouraging, Chris. He said, nice going, Marv.
Do you classify laughter as encouragement?
I believe it was Marv the Toe that he referred to. And I would like to thank Nick and Don Silvestri, the Jet kickoff specialists, for their fine work and fine coaching prior to the kick.
How much do you think the Saints are missing Morton Anderson right now after he hit the game winner last week against them, went 4 for 4 in the ball game? Just a matter of cash these days with the salary cap. They didn't want to come up with it. He's getting older now. Maybe not quite as good at those long field goals as he once was, but still a guy that I just don't know, if you're the Saints, how you let that guy walk out of town. It just seemed incredible to me. Plus with the kickoffs, that's the big thing about Morton Anderson. Last week in the game, 5 of 7 kicks into the end zone, and the first one he had today into the end zone as well. Such a factor.
All right, the kick is in the end zone, but this time it will be run out. Roel Preston, the rookie from Mississippi, took a good hit. Victor Green on the stop for the Jets.
And Victor Green's the special teams MVP from a year ago for the Jets, and you get some idea of why. That is not a great, fun kind of job to run down there unless you're a little bit crazy. And Victor Green certainly fits that mold, and now getting a chance to play because of the run and shoot offense. They're playing 6 defensive backs in the game. And really so far the story of this game for the Falcons is they have not been able to get Ironhead Hayward going the way that they did last week.
14 seconds left in the quarter. Hayward scrambling his way to the 20-yard line. Marvin Washington able to cover him up. And that will do it for this opening quarter at the Georgia Dome. The Jets and the Falcons tied at 3. We'll be back in Atlanta in a moment. At the Georgia Dome, the game is tied at 3. And Atlanta 2nd down and 5 from their 21-yard line. Jeff George, 3 of 7, 60 yards, 1 interception to this point. Jeff, a native of Indianapolis, had a tumultuous time with the Colts, his hometown club, in his 4 years with the Indianapolis Colts. The trade to Atlanta revitalizing his career. He was 5th in the NFL with 23 touchdown passes a year ago.
And he said the only person from his hometown that stuck with him was one girl, and he married her, his wife Teresa. He said that was it. She was the only one that stuck with me, so we got married.
And that was kind of touching. 2nd and 5. And George completes to Metcalf. And he has the first down. He's taken out across the 30-yard line. Eric Metcalf hit down by the strong safety Todd Scott.
How would you like to be in the Jets defensive meeting room when they were doling out the assignments for the week and they said, okay, Todd Scott, you have Eric Metcalf. Excuse me, coach, I need to use the facilities for a minute here.
Use the facilities?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a guy, remember Eric Green told us that he would have no chance against him, and he's a tight end. Now you bring in Metcalf?
It is a first down at the 30-yard line. Second quarter just getting started. George had the time and took advantage. Another first down. Terrence Mathis with his first catch of the day, and that is good for 17. Scott on the stop.
Just wonder, Rich Kotite had to watch Terrence Mathis working against his Philadelphia Eagles last year, and all he did against the Eagles was come up with 10 catches for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm sure that Rich wishes that trade had not been made or that walkaway had not been done, because Terrence Mathis would fit in nicely with this Jet team.
That's his 23rd catch of the season among the leaders in that department coming in. Hayward to the outside, a rare move for Ironhead, and has a first down. Victor Green got the wraps around him, and Hayward runs for 12.
And Ron Carpenter, I'm not sure that Ron Carpenter, number 26 for the Jets, missed this tackle intentionally or unintentionally. He did sort of a nosedive. Yeah, I'm at 250, let him go, forget that. And leave it to Victor Green. That was not a great effort on the part of Ron Carpenter.
Ron Carpenter, the starter at free safety in the absence of the injured Gary Jones, who underwent arthroscopic surgery, and now the word is he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. First down at the Jet 40. The jump pass delivered from George, from Metcalf. He's to the 34-yard line. Again, the strong safety, Todd Scott, on the tackle. Scott,
He's doing all right today.
one-time Minnesota Viking, made the Pro Bowl back in 1992, then had a fall off the next couple of years, had a very difficult opening game against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, started missing some tackles, and they began to doubt his physical abilities to make plays. But so far this season, he did a nice job on Eric Green, the opening game that we saw, and now working against Eric Metcalf. He's proving me so far.
Second down and 4. Burton to the left, Emmanuel to the right. Again, it's Hayward, again to the outside, and again breaks through tackles for a first down. And he has picked it up.
And this Jet secondary really not too anxious at all to take on Ironhead Hayward. This time it looked like Marcus Turner just fan. I mean, he's just getting plowed on the play. 250 pounds worth. They paid him a $100,000 bonus to come in under 250 pounds. He made that. You see the nice job that he did last week against the Saints, and now every week that he comes in under 250 pounds, it's an additional $10,000.
I believe you have the same arrangement in your NBC contract. Timeout is called by Atlanta when we resume. First and 10 at the Jet 26. Welcome back to Atlanta with 11 and a half to go. In the second quarter, the Jets and Falcons tied at 3-7 play of the drive coming up for Atlanta. They are the only remaining team to run the run and shoot offense. Would you have liked to have been a part of a run and shoot red gun affair?
I'd rather be one of 2 receivers than one of 4, and this is a little dinky and dunky for me. I like to try and get it down the field some.
All right, here's George getting it down the field, but too far. Intended for J.J. Burton, the former Kansas City Chief, who was covered by the right corner Marcus Turner.
J.J. Burton had a lot of problems during the training camp with a pulled hamstring, and Jeff George telling us that really never got a feel for him, but they thought he would be the featured guy today. They were really going to make an effort to get him the football, and so far that has been true.
J.J., one of the favorite targets of Joe Montana in his years with Kansas City. Second and 10 at the Jet 26. Again, Hayward with a burst. And Hayward inside the 10 and taken down inside the 5. Play is rolled in. Ron Carpenter with the stop, but Ironhead rips off 22 more.
And really, the Jets just getting plowed at the point of attack. That wasn't even a case of anybody missing a tackle. It was just a huge hole. And anytime you can get Ironhead through there without anybody touching him, well, I guess there was a little arm tackle in there, but you're not going to bring him down like that. And Ironhead is starting to get it going like he did last week.
First and goal at the 4. Lone deep back is Jamal Anderson. Oh, and a fumble on the snap, and the Jets have recovered. Donald Evans on the recovery. Second turnover for Atlanta.
Can we put this one in the sloppy category yet? Turnovers, interceptions, fumbled snaps. People just not wanting to win this football game.
George led the NFL with 12 fumbles. He just gave it back to the Jets a moment ago off the exchange on the snap. And the Jets to the ground. Brad Baxter for just a couple. Stopped by the strong safety Kevin Ross.
Really can't even tell exactly what happened. It just looked like Jeff George dropped the ball, and then the worst of all worlds, it rolled between Roman Fortin's legs right to the defense, and there's no way as a quarterback to go through his legs in order to get it back. And for Jeff George, that was a nice looking drive, and the frustration continues.
Yeah, so frustrating for the Falcons. They had gone 80 yards, wasting the impressive display by Ironhead Hayward. 2nd and 6 from the 8. Esiason off the roll, able to sidearm it and completes for the first down. Charles Wilson tackled by Terry Taylor. We're set for another update. Here's Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Marvin, Cincinnati, the Houston Oilers off to a 2-touchdown lead, and the Bengals come right back. 23-yard touchdown run. Harold Green just gets his foot into the end zone with the extra point. The Bengals have closed to 14-7. They're into the second quarter at Riverfront, Marv.
All right, Greg, the Jets first down at their 17-yard line. Jets and Falcons tied at 3, 6 minutes in, second quarter. And it is dropped by Crabett. Wayne Crabett not able to hang on. He was covered by Darryl Talley.
I think Wayne Crabett gave Boomer a bad read. This is a play we used to run a lot in Cincinnati, one of those shallow cross kind of patterns. It looked like Crabett was going to slow down, then sort of changed his mind, and you have to be pretty definitive with that. When they coach it on that particular route, they'll say, go out there, you find a hole, just stop and flip your shoulders around, let your quarterback know if you ease down, you really don't know what he's trying to do.
2nd and 10 at the 17. And on the slant, Baxter for a short pickup. Jesse Tuggle on the stop. Jets trying to even the record at 2 up and 2 down. We talked at the start of the telecast about the fact that Jets don't really know who they are. In fact, Boomer Esiason was saying, how dare some of the Atlanta people, I don't know if he was referring to media or Atlanta Falcons, call us mediocre, trying to use it as motivation. When you look at it, though, that could be a compliment, mediocre.
That'll be used next week for motivation, what you just said.
3rd down and 5. On the swing, Rod Baxter prevented from picking up the first down. Kevin Ross and then Jesse Tuggle coming up to hold back Baxter, and the Jets forced to punt. Well, mediocre is what, a 500 record, would you say?
Yeah, you've got to work to get to there. And so far, this Jet offense is making this Falcon defense look like the 85 Bears. I mean, this is a defense that has been trampled by everybody that they've played so far.
And Eric Metcalf back for this punt from Brian Hansen. He muffed the first punt attempt. This is a short-range punt. And the lively hop played by Metcalf. Finds the opening. And tripped up. 47-yard punt and a 10-yard return. The Jets for 3 years. As it turns out, that was his most effective game. A loss as a member of the Jets. Remember, that was in the midst of the controversy. Bruce Coslett was the head coach of the Jets and made the decision to go with Nagel rather than Ken O'Brien. And Nagel was the starter. That was back in '92. George able to complete it. And a rare pass to the tight end, Mitch Lyons. Only his 2nd catch of the season. First down. It's good for 11 yards on the play. Well, the last time these two teams met was in the regular season debut here at the Georgia Dome. Falcons getting off to a quick start, led by early touchdown Chris Miller to Michael Haynes. And then the Jets behind that career best day for Browning Nagel. Came up just short in the comeback bid. 20-17, the final score in favor of Atlanta. Nagel went 21 of 37. George having difficulties off the pressure from Mo Lewis. Pass intended for Mitch Lyons.
That decision a little bit like the Phil Simms and Dave Brown decision for the Giants. So it goes both sides of New York. And for June Jones, that time Mo Lewis disrupted the run and shoot.
Good second guess here, and of course we have majored in second guesses, but you wonder, Chris, had the Jets gone with Ken O'Brien, it would have given them a degree of dependability. how the history of this franchise might have been altered
especially
for a couple of years.
Well, especially in the days without a salary cap. I mean, you can understand it more today.
Metcalf stopped at the 45. Did he cough it up? Have the whistle blown? I have several other questions.
Okay.
It's ruled that he was down. Play is over. Victor Green on the stop of Eric Metcalf.
I thought the ground caused the fumble here as well. We'll get a second look. Right there, good call by the officials.
It is a 3rd and 4 at the 45-yard line. 6:20 left in the first half. Jets and Atlanta tied at 3. George on a timing pattern that did not work, but a flag is thrown. J.J. Burton, the intended receiver, covered by Otis Smith.
And Otis Smith pleading his case, but he never got his head around. He just played the receiver. And when the ball was in the air, I don't even think that Otis Smith knew the ball was in the air.
Defense, number 46, automatic first down.
And Otis Smith reached his arm out and disrupted the route of J.J. Burton. Really no choice but to call this for the officials. That's pass interference. The only thing that it could have been was an uncatchable ball, but really I think J.J. Burton would have gotten there if Otis Smith hadn't gotten his hands on it.
And the announcement from the referee Gary Lane indicating number 46, but he meant 45. There's no 46 on the Jet roster, and 45 is Otis Smith. First down at the Jet 23. Audible by Jeff George. Look out, spun around, taken down by Marvin Washington. First sack of the day for the Jets, and for Washington, his 3rd of the season.
And Marv, really, where has this been for the Jets today? Jim Vecchiarelli, the defensive coordinator. The Saints had all kinds of success a week ago blitzing Jeff George. You've got a run and shoot offense. They only have 5 guys up there to protect. Everybody in the league gets pressure on Jeff George, sacked 7 times last week. I've been wondering when they were going to at least show the pressure and cause some problems. That time exactly right on the money for Jim Vecchiarelli.
Yes, the protection has been suspect. Atlanta among the leaders in a dubious distinction category. Most sacks allowed. On the draw, Hayward. Ironhead Hayward. Hit down by Victor Green, but he is short of a first down. Hayward, 10 carries, 72 yards.
Boy, what an outstanding block this time by the center, Roman Fortin. He had to stay on this block for what seemed like an eternity, working against Wilbur Marshall. Oh, that was good. Even a nice little hold on the end of it that he got away with, but that was the key to the play.
Whitfield, Tobeck, Fortin, Williams, and Richards up front. They have shuffled the right side of the offensive line. And George completes to Metcalf, slicing his way for the first down and some more. Victor Green on the stop, 4th catch for Metcalf, and it will be a 1st and goal at the 5.
And here's the problem, Marv. When you try to blitz this offense, it means that Todd Scott, your strong safety, has to try and cover Eric Metcalf one-on-one, and that is the trade-off. You want to try to get pressure. You know the Falcons don't block it very well, but when you have number 21 on your team, so difficult to play man-to-man coverage.
All right, Burton to the left, Emmanuel right for this 1st and goal at the 5. That is Metcalf in motion. Hayward to the outside, this time gang tackled as he hit inside the 4. Marcus Turner will get credit for the stop.
Remember what Otis Smith called Ironhead yesterday? Said that, you know, that fat guy on the other team. Well, the fat guy was running right at Otis that time, and Otis tried to bite him on the shoestrings.
Fat guy has slimmed down.
Yeah, that's one of those things you'd only say when you play a team about once every 3 or 4 years, not knowing you're playing them twice a year in your division.
All right, Chris, the 8th play of the drive. It's a 2nd and goal at the 4 with 3:40 left in this first half of the game, tied at 3. Again, the audible. George to the end zone. Oh, what a catch! Bert Emmanuel for the touchdown. Out leaping Aaron Glenn.
And I don't think Aaron Glenn even knows what hit him yet. He was sitting there in absolutely perfect position, probably waiting for the fade, and Jeff George just shot a bullet across the field. And Bert Emanuel, just another sensational play. He's really made some great plays, but probably last week, the best that we've seen from Bert Emanuel.
That's his second touchdown reception of the season. Morton Anderson adds the extra point. 3:26 to go in the half. Falcons up 10-3.
George with the audible, seeing man coverage on the outside, and for Aaron Glenn, just no chance to stop that play. It's designed to go right over top of the head, and Jeff threw a bit of a duck, which makes this catch even more impressive by Bert Emanuel.
So the Atlanta Falcons have a 10-3 lead on the New York Jets. 3:26 to go in this first half. Second-year player out of Rice. Second-round pick a year ago. Man who was an option quarterback at Rice, where he transferred after a couple of inactive years at UCLA. Dexter Carter on the return across the 30-yard line.
You're talking about Bert Emanuel. He was also drafted by both the Pirates and the Blue Jays. So a former quarterback, former baseball player, good all-around athlete.
34-yard return by Carter. A reminder, next Sunday, NBC Sports presents another NFL doubleheader starting 12:30 Eastern with the NFL on NBC. And look at the games, Miami and Cincinnati, a battle in the Shula household.
And you know everybody cheers for Dave in that battle.
Oh, yes.
No question.
You're talking within the household.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. All the brothers and sisters.
Esiason able to peg to Crabette out of the 35-yard line. So Wayne Crabette with his third reception. The left corner, Ron Davis on the stop. Pickup of 5. It'll be a second down and 5.
And let's give some credit to Joe Herring, the defensive coordinator, for his game plan. He thought that he could take away these Jets wide receivers with man-to-man coverage and not have them beat them with big plays. And so far, that's what's happened.
And again, Esiason goes short range. Richie Anderson is stopped by Darryl Talley. That will bring up a third. Let's see, they spotted at the 39. It'll be a third down and 2.
Here's a good look at Joe Herring as he's come up with the plan here for the Jets that's worked so far. Boomer has to take a shot down the field, get him to back up a little.
And it's almost intercepted. Terry Taylor with another opportunity. The pass intended for Charles Wilson. Well, the scorecard on Boomer now reads 2 that have been picked off, 2 that were nearly picked off.
But you know what? They're scoffing at the wide receivers for the Jets. Terry Taylor's been in the league since 1984, and he's showing no respect whatsoever for Charles Wilson.
Third punt of the day for Hansen. Metcalf from his 10. Metcalf with an opening. And taken down across the 32-yard line. A 52-yard punt and a 24-yard return. Morrell made the stop.
And you have to wonder why in that situation they even kicked Eric Metcalf the ball. I mean, they had the perfect, there's only about 60 yards out. You just kick it out inside the 20. You don't even give him a chance to return it. That's a poor special teams decision.
The Falcons first down at the 33-yard line. Atlanta with a record of 2-1, looking to New England next week. That's a home game followed by a bye week and then a Thursday game in St. Louis. And flags are thrown. Very few penalties thus far in the half.
False start. Right to the snap. Number 69 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So they move it back
5 yards. Only the first penalty called on Atlanta. This on Gene Williams, starting for the injured Mike Sandowski, who's out with a knee problem the past couple of games. Gene Williams, one-time Dolphin, one-time Brown. He'd been a starter for Cleveland. George to the sideline for Emmanuel.
You know, Marv, really this offensive line has been playing much better today. Gene Williams in for Sandowski, but really he was taking over for Jeff Poakawi, and mess that one up. But also, well, you know, it was one of those things. But Lincoln Kennedy is the guy that they have just worked out of the lineup now, a former #1 draft pick who just never was a fit. And they've finally taken him out, and Dave Richards has come in and done a nice job today in his place.
Second down and 9 at the 34. And George to the other side. A penalty marker is down. Nice catch by Burton. And if it holds up, it is a first down. Victor Green on the stop. 17-yard advance, depending on what the call is.
Offsides, defense, number 66.
So it will hold.
First
The
down.
offside penalty on Donald Evans of the Jets.
What a throw that time, though, by Jeff George. You get some indication of why teams were fighting for him and why they made him the #1 pick in Indianapolis.
And again, you see the movement. Well, we were relatively penalty free up until the final minute and a half
Offense, number 61.
of the half. This time the false start
still first
on
down.
the Falcons.
They call it professional football.
Robbie Tobeck, the left guard, second-year player from Washington State, called on the penalty, and it's set back to a 1st and 15. George looking to the left and then has it deflected and almost intercepted. Aaron Glenn had a shot at it, was hit from behind as he tried to come up with it, and it's incomplete.
Poor Otis Smith. Otis Smith is sitting there with a fair catch signal up for that one. It was going to fall right in his lap, and Aaron Glenn came flying in out of nowhere and knocked it away from both of them. Here comes Aaron Glenn now. Otis Smith has got this one all the way, and Aaron Glenn with the drop.
Second down and 15. Aaron Glenn, bothered by a pulled muscle in his stomach, had a rough weekend. At practice, he is not 100% physically. Quick release by George for Metcalf. Eric Metcalf inside the 45. Mo Lewis, who is enjoying the homecoming, played his high school and college ball in this area in his 5th NFL season out of Georgia. It'll be a 3rd down and 5 at the 44 as the timeout is taken. A reminder, coming up, the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. And Greg Gumbel along with Mike Ditka, joined by Paul McGuire and Phil Simms in the studio with Paul on hand. Chris, of most significance, that changes the menu at the building.
The voice of Notre Dame football now, Paul and Phil. Watch the cut by Eric Metcalf. This is something, I mean, human beings just don't make that kind of cut. And when you have Eric Metcalf on AstroTurf, he's sensational. Really, the best years of his career sort of wasted on the muck up in Cleveland Stadium.
3rd down and 5 at the 44. Metcalf now lined up in the slot on the left. Oh, a high snap handled by George, and then throws on the timing pattern, incomplete. Burton could not hold on. He was covered by Smith.
I think they spent a little time looking at the Miami tape, did the Atlanta Falcons, because Irving Fryer on this very same kind of play just wore out Otis Smith in that game. And they have been trying Otis all day, but he's had a fairly successful afternoon, really bounced back. He said in that first game, because of all his injuries, he was just so rusty and didn't play well at all, but over the past couple of weeks, much better. As obvious as 4 interceptions.
And that is Dexter Carter. Back for the punt from Dan Straczynski. Pops it up. And the fair catch handled by Carter. That's a 31-yard punt. 1:05 remaining.
What an upgrade for the special teams of the Falcons. They signed Dan Straczynski to a 3-year, $1.5 million deal. He is known for exactly what you saw there, his hang time, allowing all his people to come down there and make the play and not give up the big return. But Eric Metcalf, Morton Anderson, so much improved on special teams.
Yes, Straczynski has led the NFL in fair catches forced in 4 of the last 5 years. Tonight here on NBC, the season premiere of Mad About You. And it looks like, I'm told, Jamie may be pregnant. But Chris will have to watch to find out. Oh, fumble on the play. And a flag has been thrown. Let's see what the flag is about.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 97 on the defense, a blow to the face.
That's Jumpy
15-yard
Gather is
penalty,
called
first down.
on the personal foul.
And this really gives this Jets offense a chance. Gathers number 97 with the shot to the face, and they're just not going to allow that in the National Football League. These quarterbacks are too valuable to the league. It's at least 50% of the reason why people tune in to watch the games, and they are going to protect them whether or not Jumpy Gathers likes it or not. Jumpy is going to get his opinions in, though, before it's marked off.
Jumpy, one of the NFL's strongest players, goes 6'7", 300 pounds. In his 12th year out of Wichita State.
Not really sure what all the debate was about. Maybe it was whether or not the play was a fumble, but I don't know why that would make a difference. Well, I guess it would, because they would mark it off from the point of the reception and add it on, so I'm sure that's what the debate was over.
And they bring it out to the 29. Now another spot, it's at the 28-yard line. 1st and 10 at the 28 with less than a minute to go in the first half. And a big rush forcing the quick release by Esiason, intended for Fred Baxter, and Boomer is taking a pounding.
Wow, Matt Willick with just a fan against Chris Dolman. And one of the problems, if you don't leave a tight end into his side, there's the NFL sack leader with 5.5. And I'll tell you what, that one hurt. You could see Boomer wincing with pain, and then Matt Willick came over and tried to help Boomer up, but he wasn't quite ready to get up.
Boomer hasn't been sacked yet, but he has taken his share of shots and just seemed to be uncertain about that release, as if he wanted it back because of the pressure. I think Morrell was in the area.
Yeah, I think he saw Jumpy Gathers over there at the last minute and almost tried to pull that one back on a string. It has been a difficult afternoon. Boomer takes a lot of pride in trying to get that ball out of there. This is not that great an offensive line. They've only given up 1 or 2 sacks, but a large part of it because Boomer gets rid of the football.
It's a 3rd and 10 at the 28-yard line. 46 seconds to go in the half. And again, they get to Esiason. That is the first sack of the day. They keep coming. Chuck Smith with the sack, 2.5 for the year. He had 11 last season among the league leaders.
And Marv, they didn't even think Chuck Smith was going to play today, that he had an injured knee. He hurt it last week, and they've got the tight end, Kyle Brady, blocking on him. They've got help from the back. They've got the offensive lineman working against him, and he's still getting there. Brady just with a terrible set, and there's absolutely no chance that he's going to be able to block a guy like Chuck Smith. I mean, that's just poor technique on the part of Kyle Brady. Well, this is Atlanta defensive line, very good when they're healthy, all the way across that defensive line. As you take a look at Boomer Esiason, wondering what hit him on that series. He was pounded on every play. But Chris Dolman, Mo Gardner, Pierce Holt, Chuck Smith, all the guys on that defensive line coming off of surgery, but if they're healthy, very good, and Boomer's finding out about it.
So 4th and 18 at the 20. And Brian Hansen reappears back at a 6-yard line. And punting to Metcalf. Midfield, down to the 45-yard line, and then taken down inside the 45. A 40-yard punt and a good return for 16. And Atlanta with a shot with 30 seconds to go to put up some more points before this first half concludes.
And Eric Metcalf, just dynamite when he gets his hands on the football. The Falcons now, I believe, have burned all their timeouts, though. They do have 30 seconds. And for this run and shoot offense, that's plenty of time, especially when you consider that Morton Anderson, who has a career long of 60-yard field goal, is on your side. Needs about probably about 10 yards to have a legitimate shot.
Anderson earlier hit from 37. George rolling left and couldn't find anybody. Is taken down by Wilbur Marshall.
And Otis Smith, it won't matter because Otis Smith just tackled J.J. Burden on the play. You're going to get a hold down the field, and it will be an automatic first down for the Falcons. Otis Smith completely fooled on a stop and go move and had no choice really other than just to tackle J.J. Burden. Stop and go by J.J. Burden, and
holding defense, number 45, 5-yard penalty, first down.
I'll tell you, though, for Otis Smith, that was the right play because it was a touchdown. He was beaten very cleanly on the play, and Jeff George was set up to throw the football before Wilbur Marshall got there, so really no choice. And it looks like Otis Smith is limping around a bit. Been watching him the last couple of series, and I don't know exactly what the problem might be. He had the shoulder problem in preseason, but he may have gotten hurt in this game.
And a first down at the 38 with 24 seconds to go in the half. George trying to go the middle, but it's batted down. Pass intended for Mathis. Down to 19 seconds and a second and 10. And you see words being exchanged. Victor Green involved, as is former Jet Terrence Mathis.
Yeah, a lot of people came over and they were hugging Terrence Mathis, who's Jet players before the ball game today, but not so much now during the game. Yeah, that's what special teams guys do. I tell you, that's Victor Green going at it. Neither one of those guys going to hurt each other, though, really.
Mathis thus far only one catch for 17 yards. And the pass broken up, intended for Emmanuel.
But more of that, you can't make that completion because if they complete that pass, there's 13 ticks left on the clock and you're not going to get the clock stopped. Really, you have one choice. You hit the receiver on the sideline, he steps out of bounds, and you kick a field goal, or you throw the ball out of bounds. You can't. That's two straight passes now for Jeff George in the middle of the field, and I believe time would have expired.
And Atlanta out of timeouts, so with 13 seconds, 3rd and 10 at the 38-yard line. George able to complete.
Unbelievable.
Yes, Metcalf.
I mean, this is unbelievable. You've got a field goal kicker that's kicked one from 60 and you've just blown your chance. That's ridiculous.
Metcalf couldn't get out of bounds, couldn't get anywhere near out of bounds, and the crowd reacting to the play selection at the end of this half. A sloppy first half for both clubs. And the Atlanta Falcons leading the New York Jets 10